Nostradamus 2021 Predictions. Facts you may not know about Nostradamus. Nostradamus' writings are coded. He said he received unclear fragments from God. His most famous book, Prophecies, contains 4,680 quatrains. Many of his predictions, such as the rise to power of Adolf Hitler, and the Second World War, turned out to be accurate. Over 70% of his prophecies have fulfilled so far. In his quatrains, Nostradamus uses notions and terms often used today, but which did not exist at the time. Nostradamus was convinced that his predictions would not be deciphered by his contemporaries, so he left us a series of clues to be found when he wished. For Nostradamus, the beginning of World War III, WW3 is closely related to the appearance of a UFO in the sky. Nostradamus accurately predicted the collapse of the communist system in Eastern Europe and the collapse of the USSR. Nostradamus predicted that not only humans would speak the same language, but they would be able to communicate with aliens without problems, with the help of a universal translator. One of Nostradamus' prophecies tells us that people will live much longer in the future. An 80-year-old will look like he is 50 years old. A book was found at the National Library in Rome, which is believed to belong to him and which contains his last predictions. The Lost Book, as it was called, had been inherited by one of Nostradamus' sons, who in turn had given it as a gift to Pope Urban VIII. The end of the world will take place in the year 2436. Here are some of Nostradamus' predictions for 2021. 1. Zombie apocalypse. A Russian scientist will create a biological weapon and produce a virus that can turn humankind into zombies, and we will all be extinct in the near future. Few young people, dead to give a start. Dead through spite. He will cause the others to shine, and in an exalted place some great evils to occur. Sad concepts will come to harm each one, temporal dignified, the mass to succeed. Fathers and mothers dead of infinite sorrows, women in mourning, the pestilent she-monster, the great one to be no more, all the world to end. 2. Nostradamus predicted Bitcoin. In one of Nostradamus' famous quatrains, he tells us that people will refuse to pay taxes to the king. With the help of Bitcoin, many ordinary people will become rich. Thus wealth will be transferred from the rich to the poor. 3. A famine of biblical proportions. Nostradamus predicted that the first signs of the end of the world would be famine, earthquakes, different illnesses, and epidemics, which are already happening more frequently. The coronavirus pandemic from 2020 represents the beginning of a series of unfavorable events, which will affect the world's population. The famine that lurks is one the world had never faced before. A catastrophe of huge proportions will throw us back in history, and a great part of the world population will not be able to overcome this curse. After great trouble for humanity, a greater one is prepared. The great mover renews the ages. Rain, blood, milk, famine, steel, and plague, is the heavens' fire scene, a long spark running. Starting from 2020, after 248 years, Saturn in Capricorn united its forces with Pluto, which is also in Capricorn, in the remarkable conjunction that will change the fate of the world. Saturn in Capricorn is responsible for social hierarchies, state power, authority, functions, and status, and this is what the conjunction with Pluto, the planet of death, destruction, and reconstruction triggered. In the Danube and of the Rhine will come to drink the great camel, not repenting it, those of the Rhone to tremble, and much more so those of the Loire, and near the Alps, the cock will ruin him. The camel is the Arab population that lives all over Europe, especially in France and Germany, or the wave of immigrants that is currently at the door of our continent. Also, the demography experts warn that the Muslims will conquer the EU in the next decades without having to fire a single gun. On the one hand, due to the great number of Muslim immigrants and refugees and, on the other hand, due to Europeans having fewer and fewer children. Because of French discord and negligence, an opening shall be given to the Mohammedans. The land and sea of Sinai will be soaked in blood, and the port of Marseille covered with ships and sails. 5. Solar storms. 2021 will be quite a significant year in terms of major global events. Great solar storms will take place, which could cause some major damages to the Earth. Nostradamus supposedly warned, "We shall see the water rising and the Earth falling under it." The harmful effects of the climatic changes will then lead to many wars and conflicts, as the world will fight over resources, and mass migration will follow. 6. A comet will hit the Earth or it will come very close to Terra. This event will cause earthquakes and other natural disasters, which can be concluded from the quatrain, "In the sky, one sees fire and a long trail of sparks." Other interpretations of this quatrain assert that it refers to a great asteroid that will hit the Earth. Once it enters the Earth's atmosphere, the asteroid will heat up, appearing in the sky like a great fire. 7. A devastating earthquake will destroy California. According to the interpretation of a quatrain written by Nostradamus, an extremely powerful seism will destroy California in 2021. Nostradamus predicts that a great earthquake will hit the New World, the Western lands, and California is the logical place where it might happen. According to the astrologers, Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading, the following date when the planets Mars and Saturn will be in this position on the sky will be on November 25 of 2021. Nostradamus quatrain, "The sloping park, great calamity, through the lands of the West and Lombardy, the fire in the ship, plague, and captivity, Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn fading." 8. The American soldiers will have brain chip implants. The American soldiers will be turned into a kind of cyborgs, at least at the brain level, to save the human race. This chip should offer us the necessary digital intelligence to progress beyond the limits of biological intelligence. This could mean that we will incorporate artificial intelligence into our bodies and brains. The newly made one will lead the army, almost cut off up to near the bank, help from the Milanese elites training, the Duke deprived of his eyes in Milan in an iron cage. 9. Destruction of the Catholic Church. Pope Francis will be assassinated by shooting during a trip to a European city at the confluence of two great rivers, when the roses bloom. His assassination will cause social unrest and riots in Rome. The Catholic Church will collapse. The secret information hidden inside the Catholic Church will be given to the general public. By March will be thwarted. The monarchy of the great fisherman will be in ruinous trouble. Young Black Red will seize the hierarchy. The producers will act on a day of drizzle. 10. The third Antichrist will be born in 2021. Nostradamus foretells the birth of the third Antichrist in 2021. It is not known exactly where it will be born. It was assumed that in Serbia, in an Arab state. He will live in an area with a dominant situation of corruption, political manipulation, violence, protests, social unrest, social and political overthrows orchestrated by him in colder climate countries will facilitate his access to power. Religious fanatics and apocalyptic false prophets will consider him a religious leader and become his followers. The Antichrist will study Hitler's actions to prevent his mistakes. Nostradamus also predicts the appearance of a new sect. Nothing says that this is really the sect of the Antichrist, except the number 666 of the quatrain. The Antichrist very soon annihilates the 27 years his war will last. The unbelievers are dead, captive, exiled, with blood, human bodies, water and red hail covering the earth. 10. A new ice age will begin in 2021. The earth will freeze, global warming could stop, and the planet will enter a mini ice age. The peaks of magnetic activity from 2020 to 2030 will cancel each other out and thus lead to a reduction in solar activity. Solar activity will be reduced by up to 60% around 2030. The earth and air will freeze a very great sea, when they will come to venerate Thursday, which will be never was so beautiful, from the four parts will come to honor. A prophet is properly speaking one, who sees distant things through a natural knowledge of all creatures. And it can happen that the prophet bringing about the perfect light of prophecy may make manifest things both human and divine. Nostradamus in a letter to his son, Caesar, Nostradamus' quatrains include many disturbing predictions. Based both on the knowledge of Nostradamus as a human being, and the dangerous era he lived, the 8 prophecies of 2021 reveal fragments of what the alchemist predicted for our world.